everyone. Welcome to the new season of the Gary Dunn Show. Welcome back, all the Vulcan fans and football fans in general. I'm your host, Gary Smith, and joined, as always, every Monday for his own shows, Coach Gary Dunn. Coach, it's been way too long since we've sat in this slightly humid underground bunker of a studio we have here.
Great to be back for another year. Excited to have our first home game this past week and excited to have another one this week. So great to be back with you guys for another year.
And Coach is excited, but we have to back up a little bit because, again, there's been a lot of ground to cover since the last game last year. You've had a lot of new faces come into the program, and let's just talk about a little bit what that process is from spring ball into summer camp. You don't have to go crazy because I know there's an awful lot.
That's a long way. Let's start back when our guys report back to campus in January. I thought we had great winter workouts. When you look back on the 22 season, I thought, and I meet with every guy in our program, and some of the things that we discussed is some of the things we implemented this winter. So we really got to work. I think January 21st was our first day of winter workouts. I thought our guys did a great job getting the new guys accustomed to how we do it, to the discipline, the culture that we've created here. And I think our winter workouts were great. We changed some things up and really challenged our guys. And I don't think it could have went better. Fast forward to spring ball, a lot of new faces. You go through our defense this Saturday. I think we had 3 guys that played meaningful reps last year. So basically 7 or 8 new starters in there, very similar on offense. So spring ball was huge for us. I thought we did a really good job in the spring. We were probably more physical than we had been in years past because we knew we were going to be a young team. Fast forward to preseason camp, we reported August 5th, and I tell you, that game last week couldn't have come at a better time because everybody hated everybody. The offense hated the defense hated the offense, the kids hated the coaches. It's, when you practice for over a month and don't have a football game, that's tough. To no fault of our own, our first game was canceled. And I think that showed in the first half Saturday. But I thought training camp went really well. We've got some more new faces, a few guys that weren't with us in the spring that played meaningful roles on Saturday. So it was big, but our guys stayed here. A lot of guys stayed here this summer. I think we had between 30 and 40 guys here this summer that stayed and committed to working out with our strength coach and building a bond, and I think that showed up on Saturday as well.
Well, Coach, you touched on it a little bit, and I was going to ask the question. As you mentioned, first game of the year was canceled. Alderson Broaddus was supposed to be the opponent. That gives you an extra week, basically, of training camp. And I was going to say, I know, obviously, in a perfect world, coaches want to play, but what are the positives that you can take out of that extra week of having just an extra week of practice?
Yeah, we obviously had more time to practice, and it wasn't, we weren't necessarily getting ready for a game. So we kind of set our schedule, and we realized we weren't going to play that opening week. We kind of changed our schedule up. I was able to give the guys more time off. We were probably more physical in training camp than we've ever been. We probably went live more than we ever have in training camp. But it was hard that last week because, when you're practicing that long, and these guys don't do this to practice, they do this to compete on Saturdays, and it was difficult. But I think our guys handled it as good as they could have, and it allowed us to kind of change our schedule up, to go a little bit slower, to teach our guys more maybe fundamentals and more about who we are than preparing for an opponent. So I thought that was good, but like I said, towards the end of that last week, man, it was a little chippy everywhere.
Well, that finally gets us to last week in the first game of the year against Kutztown. And Coach, I tell you what, you could tell your team was ready to go. At least I could I usually get here at 9 o'clock, 8:30 to get the gear and go up to the stadium. The team's finishing up breakfast. And I haven't seen a group of people that excited to leave the Gold Rush, probably in the history of the world, but I mean, you could tell they were ready to hit somebody that didn't have a Caillou Vulcan.
Yeah, maybe a little too excited. We preached to our guys about doing your job and playing the play. And I think, early in that first half, we had first game jitters. We weren't executing. Our eyes weren't great on either side of the ball. Our eyes weren't great on defense. Offensively, we weren't executing at the level we had did during training camp. We were blowing assignments in the first half, and a lot of I'll give Kutztown credit. Kutztown's a good football team, but a lot of our mistakes in the first half were self-inflicted, and that's what I talked to the team about at halftime. I said, defense, our eyes aren't great. I think we missed 19 tackles in the first half. You're always going to miss tackles your first ball game, but 19's way too many. We had the quarterback dead to rights a few times on some pressures and didn't get him on the ground that led to big plays. The first touchdown, our eyes weren't right on the first touchdown. That's a ball that we should pick off 9 out of 10 times in a result. So it was more, self-inflicted wounds on our end that we just were too amped up, too excited to play, and didn't trust our training. So I talked to the defense at halftime, said, hey, we got to get our eyes right. I thought our defensive coaches did a great job. I talked to the offense. Every drive that we had in the first half, we stopped ourselves. So it was just, hey, settle down. We spotted them 30 minutes. If we want to win this game, we can't spot them another 30. And I thought we came out in the second half a different team.
Well, you could see in the second half, the third quarter was kind of back and forth. Score was still 20-7 going into the fourth quarter. But you had a chance to kick a field goal at the beginning of the fourth quarter, get points on the board, make it 20-10, and just touch upon having that confidence. Kicker like Anthony Bico, you knew you needed to get points there, kind of change the momentum. Momentum was shifting already, but you put 3 on the board there with 15 minutes and 14:58 left to go.
Yeah,
so it changes the narrative.
Let's back it up. We get the first drive of the second half. We come out, we start moving the football, and we get a catch that leads to a first down, and we fumble the ball. That could have been a woe is me moment for our team, but our guys and our culture are strong, and they're not going to quit. So to keep battling back when adversity struck in that second half kind of shows me who our guys could be. Now, we're not there yet. We got a lot of work to do. But so go back to your point at the end of the third quarter there. I was going to go for it. I think it was 4th and 7. At that point in the game, I'm thinking, all right, we're down 10, I believe, at that point, right?
It was 20-7.
Yeah, we were down
point,
13. And then I said, you know what, let's kick the field goal. We took the quarter, sent the field goal out. Let's get points on the board because at the end of the game, and I tell our guys, most PSAC football games come down to the fourth quarter, and let's have something positive here. Let's get points on the board. I know we're going to score, so that cuts it to a 3-point game. If we kick the field goal there, score, cuts it to a 3-point game, and you never know what happens. We can kick a 50-yard field goal with our kicker at the end of the game to get it to overtime. So it was more about getting points and having something positive happen and getting us in a position, okay, if we get a stop defensively and go score, now it's wide open for us.
And that's exactly what happened. Your defense forced I believe it was a third after a big sack. Your defense in the second half was just causing havoc. That front 7 in the backfield led to a third and I think 21, backed up very deep off the punt, and then your team goes right down, just like you said, went down scoring. You're down 3 at that point.
Yeah, so that now it's a whole new ball game, and we got momentum on our side. Our guys are starting to believe. We're starting to execute a little bit better. I really thought the defense, obviously, throw a shutout in the second half, played tremendously, but we tackled better, and our eyes were better, and we didn't give up, plays on. I think they had one big play, maybe a quarterback scramble on a 3rd and long that got us. But I thought our defense played a lot better in the second half and obviously tackled a lot better.
Well, and for the defense, the entire defense had 6 tackles for loss for 34 yards a lot. I mean, that's almost a third of the field right there.
Yeah, our defense is based on, creating pressure and getting them in long down distances and creating pressure and stopping the run. And I thought they did a good job of that. Now, we could have had – in the first half, we probably had 4 sacks that we missed that were wide open rushers at the quarterback. Now, their quarterback's that kid's a good athlete and very elusive, so we got to do a better job. We're going to work on that today, that when we get guys in our leverage and where we spill them and things like that. But I thought our defense obviously stepped up in the second half. Abe Sinago, I thought, had a big day. I thought Josh Miller was creating some pressure on the other side. So it was good to see that and good to get him on the ground in the second half, what we didn't do in the first. And
your defense, like I said, really shifted momentum, but that goes all for naught if the offense doesn't deliver the points. And you have a new signal caller this year. First time, it seems like a decade, you've had a new signal. Noah Mitchell was here for years with the COVID year, but brand new signal caller coming in there. And you saw in the second half, took the reins of that team, led the team to 2 scoring drives, and then the capper at the end.
Yeah, Davis is a competitor, and I thought he played well. He had 1 turnover, and it was a busted protection on our part that he got hit when he was releasing the ball. So that was, I thought he settled into the game, and Davis is a competitor. Davis is a fiery guy. I thought, I needed to calm him down a little bit. We talked off camera before with our offensive coordinator being down on the field now. That should be able to help him in between drives and help him with some things on the field, and I thought, he did a good job of settling into that game because things weren't going well for us. But like I said, it was self-inflicted wounds. At a lot of times, we had a bad snap. We had a drop ball. We had a fumble. We had our running back missed some cuts and some holes that should have been there in the run game. So just settle down. Let's go. Let's play 4 quarters, and proud of the way the guys did that.
He had 2 really highlight-worthy plays, and they were in the highlights that you're going to see in a few minutes. But the touchdown pass he threw. running out of a sack and getting basically to the line of scrimmage, going down and throwing it to a man over the middle. What was your thoughts when you saw that ball
not
come
the
out?
way we draw that one up, Gary, but sometimes you got to make plays, and he did a nice job of finding Eric Willis, who's probably the fastest kid in our program, on a crossing route, and Eric's a little jitterbug that made a guy miss and got into the end zone for that huge touchdown, and then obviously the defense gets a huge turnover. We're probably, I guess we'll talk about that now. We go up 4. Kickoff. The kickoff, I thought our kickoff coverage did a nice job all day. We kind of pinned them deep a little bit, and then Abe Sinago gets a huge sack. Josh Miller picks it up. So now it's okay. We're up 4. We got the ball. They've got 3 timeouts left. I know I'm not kicking a field goal at that point. I'm going to run the ball 4 straight times, and if we don't score, I'm going to give them 95 yards to go with no timeouts and 30 seconds left. That was the plan, where we weren't going to kick the field goal. Things can happen crazy in college football, as you've seen these first couple of weeks. So our plan was to run it 4 straight times. Let's get in the end zone. We really challenged the O-line after their second timeout. That, hey, let's quit messing around. Let's get this thing in the end zone. And Eric McCann was able to. We did a nice job on a play there, and Eric McCann was able to get into the end zone and give us that 11-point lead. But I still didn't think we were going to win, even up 11 with 30 seconds left.
Well, I tell you what, sitting in the box watching the game and just watching through the timeout, I don't know what you said to the line, but you could see when they turned around, I'm like, there's no way they're going to be stopped. This is going to be a touchdown. And you're going to go ahead. And like I said, that's just a testament to leadership and both on your coaching staff and on the line.
I give our offensive line coach Bob McClain a lot of credit. He's kind of instilled a mentality up there with those guys. I think we could have ran the ball better Saturday. We had some things up front that we could have done better. But like I said, our backs could have done better too. It's a team effort. Our wide receivers are at times doing a better job blocking downfield. Eric McCann splits the long run in the first half. And that was 2 wide receivers that got down on the safeties to split that run, and that's what we tell those guys. So it's a team effort, but I like our mentality up there, and I didn't have really any doubt that we were going to be able to put one in the end zone there with the effort those guys give.
And let's take a look at that effort. Let's take a look back at the highlights from this past weekend's win against Kutztown, and after the break, we'll look at everything around the PSAC and break down this upcoming week's opponent, Shepherd. You're watching the Gary Dunn Show right here on CUTV.
Play action pass. Novak back to throw, going deep towards the end zone. Touchdown. Able to find the back corner of the end zone. That one was number 15, Sincere Thomas. Handoff to McCann, able to get through. Nice cut up the middle. And McCann has a ton of room. McCann at the 30 gets a block. And McCann going to pull out the red carpet into the end zone. Touchdown, Vulcans. Woo! Everett's kick is up. And Everett's kick nearly hits the cameraman. Snap, kick up, and kick is good. Your score 13-7 now. Play action pass rolling, firing into the end zone. Touchdown, Kutztown. About 29-yard field goal. Beatco's kick is up. Beatco's kick is good. Black gets the snap. Looking, stepping up into the pocket and throwing it, and his pass is caught by Wills, and Wills breaks a tackle into the end zone. Touchdown, Cal. What a play by your quarterback, Davis Black. Handoff again. Actually, Black keeps it, and Black gets into the end zone. Touchdown, California. 17 unanswered points for Cal as Black works his way in. Novak back to pass under pressure. And then he's going to get stripped. Novak gets stripped, and the ball's picked up by California. And who's Sinogo again? Sinogo does it again for Cal. Josh Miller recovers the fumble. 4th and 3, handoff again to McCann, and McCann for the 3rd time gets in.
A new season of Vulcan football is set to begin September 9th versus Kutztown, September 16th versus Shepherd, September 23rd at Edinburgh, September 30 versus Clarion, October 7th at IUP, homecoming October 14th versus Seton Hill, October 21st at Slippery Rock. October 28th versus Mercyhurst. November 4th at Gannon. November 11th at East Stroudsburg. All games available on CUTV Sports 1 and the PSAC Digital Network. Suffering from World Cup withdrawal? Well, Vulcan men's and women's soccer has you covered. Come up and watch the region's best soccer teams do battle in a combined 18 home games at the beautiful Phillipsburg Soccer Complex. In addition, 3 men's and 3 women's home games will be featured live on CUTV Sports 1 and the PSAC Digital Network. Follow Cal Vulcans for up-to-date information on all things Vulcan soccer.
Vulcan Volleyball is back, and you can have the best seat in the house. The Convocation Center will be rocking with 11 home games featuring some of the best teams in the region and the PSAC. All home games will be streamed live on CUTV Sports 1 and the PSAC Digital Network. Follow Cal Vulcans on all social media platforms for up-to-date schedules and information. Vulcan Volleyball and you, a winning combination.
In motion. Tragic gets the snap, looking quickly to the right-hand side. That one, easy completion for a touchdown, able to find Marlon Cook for the score. Mitchell in the shotgun gets the snap, looking to his right, firing it deep to Jackson. He has Jackson wide open. Jackson makes the catch. Jackson to the 25, 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown, Jaquade Jackson. Not only is that the touchdown, that's the record for Noah Mitchell, all-time passing record for the Vulcans, able to find the end zone finally. That one's going to get taken inside the own end zone from Brown. Brown working his way up the field. Fumbles the ball. Brown loses the football, and that one looks like all the Vulcans signaling they have it. Pageant with the snap rolling to his left, trying to escape the pressure. It isn't going to do so. Snap is up. The kick is on its way. The kick is up, and the kick is good. Mitchell gets the snap, hands it off or fakes the handoff to McGriff, wide open in the end zone. Touchdown, Jaquade Jackson. Badgett gets the snap. Vulcans send the pressure, and Badgett able to escape, but not for very long as he's running back into a couple of Vulcans players, rolling all the way now to his right-hand side, and fumbled the ball, and the Vulcans are going to recover. Because sets up, his kick is up, and his kick is good. Vulcans now 23 unanswered points. Fakes the quick pass, going deep towards the back of the end zone. That one is caught for the touchdown in the back. The kick is up, the kick is on its way, and the kick is good. Biko, his kick is up, and his kick is no good. Jacob Haney for the win. His kick is up, and his kick is good.
And welcome back to the Gary Dunn Show. Once again, I'm Gary Smith along with Coach Dunn. And Coach, we just broke down an exciting win for the Vulcans this past week against Kutztown, first week of crossover play in the PSAC. And before we break down this upcoming week's opponent, Shepherd, let's take a look at all the scores around the PSAC. And it's if the early returns are any indication, this is going to be a wild ride for the next 3 months in the PSAC. Shepherd going into Edinburgh wins 35-28. Millersville going to Gannon 28-21. The Marauders get the victory. Seton Hill holds serve at home versus Shippensburg 28-23. Bloomsburg travels to Clarion, wins 21-7 over the Golden Eagles. East Stroudsburg gets a 1-point win over IUP. Last second 1-point win at the Crimson Hawks. Mercyhurst beats Lockhaven at home 41-29. And Slippery Rock beats Westchester 49-24. Normally we would look at the standings, but it's either 0-1, 1 or 0. There's no real points looking at standings right now.
That's it.
So we're just going to go full speed ahead, left lane hammer down's the phrase.
Yeah, there you go.
And break down Shepherd and Coach Shepherd's a team. A lot like California, had a quarterback for a long time, breaking in a new quarterback. They've had an exciting first 2 weeks to come from behind victories. And I know you've watched tape on them so far, but what have you seen different from this year and the last couple years of Shepherd?
Yeah, obviously the quarterback is new, so and I know what they're going through there. You know, you're trying to find out what your guy does well. You know, they had to replace a Harlan Hill winner and a guy that's I think a backup in the NFL right now, but their new kid's doing a good job. They're throwing for over 300 yards a game. They're running for maybe just under 100 yards a game. They're explosive on offense. I think probably their receivers are tested. They're explosive. They're doing a really good job throwing the football. I know they're coached really well. He's an old O-line guy like myself, so I'm sure they're working on the run game to be a little more balanced. But they're very explosive offensively. Defense, just athleticism jumps off the film. They've got athletes all over the place. They're 2 inside linebackers. You know, I thought Kutztown had 2 really good inside linebackers. These guys are just as good but different. Kutztown kids they were thumpers and could play inside the box, and physical kids, where these guys can really run sideline to sideline. So it creates some problems in your pass game when you've got athletes like that at inside backer. So solid, well-coached team. We need Vulcan Nation this week. We got a top 15 team, and when it's all said and done, they'll probably be a top 10 team when they come in here this weekend. Man, we need student groups, parents, alumni. We need everybody here to welcome a top 15, top 10 team in and give us a little home field advantage.
And there was a little bit of home field advantage on Saturday. It was a beautiful day. But I tell you what, at the end of that game, that crowd got loud. The band got loud. I mean, it helped it wasn't 95 degrees. It felt like a great Saturday afternoon. But, Coach, going back to Shepherd, crossover teams, you know, obviously you want to have a little preparation. How is it that you've played them last year instead of whenever next year when the schedule flips over and you have a whole new set of crossovers?
You know, you're a little bit more prepared because you did play them last year. Now we can go back. I went back last night and watched our game from a year ago. We watched our first 2 games. By the end of the week, I'll have watched all 11 games that they played last year, including ours. But it's you know, they're going to be – Shepherd's a great football team. They got a great program. You know, they were a national semifinalist last year. They're not going to change a lot. They're going to be who they are. They may do things a little bit different with a new quarterback, but their base and their staples are just going to be like ours. And you're going to have to play your best football to beat them. You know, they've done a really, really good job of having a culture that their kids believe they're going to win every week. No matter what happens, at the end of the day, they think they're going to make a play, and they often do. In the last 2 years, I don't know that I've seen any teams that have won more close games and had last-second comebacks more than them in the last 2 years. And that comes from their culture and their belief, and that's kind of what we're trying to instill. I think that Saturday game's going to help us with that. You know, when things weren't looking good, our kids kept battling, kept competing, kept fighting, and you know, we can lean on that if we get behind later in the year. But you know, we're going to have to play really good football to beat Shepherd. We're going to have to play a lot better than we did Saturday. You know, and hopefully, you know, as football coaches, you always say, and maybe this is us talking ourselves into it, right? That you improve more between week 1 and week 2 than any week. You get those first game jitters, you get those corrections that of little things that you messed up. And again, that might be football coaches just talking to ourselves, but you know, we're going to have to play a lot better because Shepherd's a complete team.
And that game will be this Saturday at noon at Adamson Stadium. It'll be live on CUTV Sports 1 and the PSAC Network, but Coach,
I think we're tape delaying it this week, aren't we?
Yeah,
so that everyone has to come to the game.
Coaches,
right? We need the Mon Valley here. We need the students, the parents. Bring your aunts and uncles. Bring whoever you can. Let's get the tailgating going for the students. I'm gonna be on campus all week talking to students, trying to get them there. I was fortunate enough after the game to talk to the BSU, the Black Student Union, and I've got them convinced that they're coming and bringing friends. I made a donation to their organization already. I'm working the streets already, so hopefully we got a huge crowd at Adamson.
Well, Coach has given me a list of zip codes to black out the game, so you may or may not be able to see it. So man, just come on down. It's a beautiful, beautiful day. Like you said, whenever the band, you know, just looking at the stands on Saturday. Yeah. Just great to have, you know, the season started again. And like I said, this is a huge game. Let's get everybody out. Come at 11 o'clock. Get your seat. Go back out. Tailgate a little bit. Yeah.
I think the gates open at like 8. They can come up and tailgate all morning long, man. Let's make it a festive atmosphere.
You heard, Coach. Get the cornhole boards going. But as soon as you hear the anthem, we need to see everybody coming in from the parking lot into the stadium. But that's noon. Come on up. We'll look real quickly at the rest of the PSAC schedule and then get Coach's pick for the other game to watch after you cheer on the Vulcans. It's another game to look at. So Mercyhurst will be going to Kutztown, Gannon going to Westchester, Lockhaven going to Clarion, Seton Hill going to East Stroudsburg, Edinburgh going to Bloomsburg, Shippensburg going to IUP, and Millersville going to Slippery Rock. That is the late game. Do any of those games jump out to you as a football fan? Obviously the main event, 12 o'clock, Addison Stadium, but.
Yeah, East Stroudsburg had a big win. Like to see how they're going to respond after a last-second win at Indiana, which is an extremely tough place to play. They kind of got it rolling. They're 2-0. They had a big win the first week. They're a future opponent of ours, so interested to see that one.
And that's about all I have to say, or that's all Coach has to say. That's all I have to say, other than just I want to see a lot of red and black in the stands on Saturday afternoon. Coach does too. For Coach Dunn, I'm Gary Smith. To keep up to date with anything Cal Vulcans, make sure to follow them on social media, Cal Vulcans, and go to the webpage, calvulcans.com, for all the game day information. So for Coach Dunn, I'm Gary Smith. We'll see you Saturday versus Shepherd. You're watching the Gary Dunn Show right here on CUTV.